And you're still good for Sunday morning, right?
For the meeting.
Yeah.
Should be good for me.
Cool.
My only concern, and I'll keep you updated, is Jackie's not feeling super great right now.
Okay.
So if we have to move to Mason's or something, like, no
If
big
we do,
deal.
we do. It may put a damper on
Yeah.
watching football after, but whatever.
Sure, but we'll see. I mean, she's tested multiple times and it's not COVID, but also like 3 or 4 people have COVID at Jeans,
Well,
so on her floor.
let me put it to you this way: it affects me not at all.
That's
So
true.
it's fully. I understand, and I
Yeah,
have no problem moving it. But
sure.
you're not protecting me personally.
No, sure.
So
But it's
I am
very
good
likely
right
that
now.
it's probably just like a cold or something, just because she's
Yeah,
tested multiple times over the last week.
at home
Just
test men are not reliable.
well, sure.
I'm just like seriously like uh, this current time is the first time Sydney's ever like tested positive on one. She
Oh,
always
okay.
tests negative.
Yeah.
So I like as long as the way I see it, I typically am lucky in that I test positive on them.
Yeah.
But as soon if I test positive and Sydney has any symptoms, we treat it like she's got COVID.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just just our personal way to do it
Sure.
because it's annoying as shit. So she literally tested positive Monday morning. I was like, you waited this long?
Yeah.
So
Uh,
but she's good. I mean, she's
yeah.
fine. She got to work from home this week and
Okay,
she's
good.
already all better.
Nice.
Like 99% better. We had a second dose of Paxlovid ready in case she tested over the weekend.
Excellent.
So I don't. As soon like once that worked so well for me, I was like,
Yeah,
this is the way to do it.
yeah, it's the thing.
You should read the chat.
Oh, I already did.
That's amazing.
Isn't it?
We've been live for 20 seconds.
Seems pretty authentic, right?
Yeah, it seems really authentic.
This discussion of our lives.
They love our content. I love their content.
Something went wrong.
Uh-oh.
Okay, well, there go the comments.
All of the comments?
Yeah, all one of them. Oops.
Oh, I added that. It's a spam. I added them to the blog list.
Oh, I know. But now the oops, something went wrong. Trying to reload the page thing won't stop popping up, no matter how many times I reload.
Apparently, I added you to the blog list.
Oh, well. Not worried.
All right. I guess I'm ready to just roll through this.
As am I.
We'll give it a whirl. I'm feel very fast and loose with this because it's been so long since we've done it.
Whatever.
All right, so I'm just gonna play the intro.
Okay, do you want me to hit the recording thing?
You should hit the recording thing, yeah.
Okay, then 3, 2, 1.
Oh, there it is.
There
it is. Hello.
Intro.
Hey, you know what? When I made it, I was really in the zone.
Yeah, I love it.
I was like, I gotta go all out for it. It's
I appreciate
visual.
It is.
This
podcast
is
a visual media, so.
Well, this podcast is supposed to be a visual media.
Well, it can be.
That's the point of it. It was supposed to be visual.
Right.
So we're going about it more visually. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
You probably have no idea who we are at this point.
Oh, me neither.
But this is Nick. I'm Pat, and welcome back to Popcorn Perspectives. Right. This show is happy to be back. We We got to record one episode a long time ago, and then the entire film industry went on strike.
Right.
And, in solidarity with our striking friends, we didn't talk about movies for a while.
That's very
But thankfully, that all appears to be behind us. Strikes have been settled favorably for everyone, and we're able to come back and start talking about movies again.
Yeah, it'll be nice. It'll be a nice change of pace for us.
Exactly. It's a good time. We talked about Clueless last time. That was our
That's right.
was our first episode, our pilot
6 months
episode.
ago.
Right. So I couldn't believe it. We often have the best timing with things.
That's true.
We're often pretty good at timing.
Right on the ball.
Right before the strike happened. So yeah, so this is Popcorn Perspectives. We are Pat and Nick. So we have another podcast called TotemTalks under the umbrella that we have called the Totem Podcast Network, because what else are you going to call it?
I don't know.
And that podcast has been ongoing the whole time. We just wrapped up our 6th season of that one. So if you like
and our
music,
6.5.
And our 6.5 season, yeah. So if you like music, that's one to check out.
Yeah, we actually know what we're talking about sometimes on that one. Occasionally, not always.
Yes. This one is much more of
we have no idea.
Yeah, this one is much more of a we're casual watchers of film.
Correct.
That one is we're in a band together. We are musicians, so we're coming from it with a little more knowledge. But I think both are viable, right? Yeah. Like you have multiple opinions of things.
That's true.
Sometimes the casual opinion is what all we are looking for.
True.
But all that to say, when we first started this podcast, we wanted to have an entry point. And we both decided collectively that the entry point would be
together.
As a group, the two of us, groups
all
together.
Of us. That's Pat and also me, who is.
Yes, we both each came together separately to form a group together, a la the Megazord.
Yeah, very similar to the Megazord.
Yes, or what's that show where they all had the environmentalism show where they all had the rings?
Captain Planet.
Yeah, Captain Planet. See, there we go. So we all formed our ring. We all summoned Captain Planet together.
That's right.
But we decided the good entry point here for us to talk about movies was the works of Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
That was our...
Made many.
He's made many. He's made different genres. We thought it was a good jumping off point, and then we would eventually branch out from the Ruddiverse.
Right.
But we have not yet done that, because our movie today, while not being Clueless... If it loads, is I Love You, Man.
There we go.
There we go. So I Love You, Man, which came out in 2009. And the way that we're kind of going through this is very fast and loose, like I said, off camera to Nick, and I'll say on camera to all of you lovely people. We have our letter grades here.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to go through and talk about the plot, talk about acting, writing, like our moments throughout the thing, some cinematography things we may have noticed. We'll talk about the Rotten Tomatoes score, the general consensus of the film, and then we'll give our opinions on what we thought of the film.
Right.
Kind of throughout. And we'll go through the plot and all that fun stuff. Now, before we get cracking on this, I need to know, Nick.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
How did you feel watching this movie?
Oh, super uncomfortable most of the time.
Thank you.
Like most of the time, or at least a large percentage of the time. So here's the thing. Just so you know, in order to watch this movie, based on the things that have been going on in my schedule lately, I've worked out from home the last 3 days. And so I am like running on a treadmill watching this movie. And I wanted to run right through the treadmill and out of the room.
Could not agree with you more. But I mean that in truly the best way, personally. Like, that is totally what they were going for with this movie. That is totally what they're going for this movie, and it worked super well. Yeah, this movie was so uncomfortable to watch in the right way. So we'll go into it for the plot here. Mm-hmm. This movie very, very basically is a romantic comedy, but the romance is a platonic male friendship.
Right.
It's set up as a
It's a
rom-com.
bromantic comedy.
Yes, a bromantic comedy, exactly. It is set up as a rom-com, it plays out as a rom-com, but it's about friendship. And I think that is such a simple yet genius idea, because typically when you have like buddy films, they're way different. They're more raunchy. Like the girl, there's a bunch of like sex and things
Mhm.
involved. It's not set up in this way where it's like it's a rated R film, but it's like almost an innocent R.
Sure. Yeah, I get that.
And it was really interesting to me. The fact that this wasn't a Judd Apatow film
Yes, very
was
surprising.
shocking to me.
Very surprising.
So, yeah, this is John Hamburg, who he directed, wrote this whole thing. I mean, this is his baby, and John Hamburg. It's finally you. It's finally you. It's always
And
been me.
you know what it is? It probably happens multiple other times, but I never have my iPad in here.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
So John Hamburg is somebody who has written a lot of well-known films. So Meet the Parents, Zoolander, Meet the Fockers, a lot of Ben Stiller stuff. Along Came Polly. Sure. So it's very similar to that. Once you kind of hear his other films,
yeah,
you get the sense of it. So
definitely.
Basically, plot-wise, Paul Rudd plays Peter Clavin, who is a Los Angeles real estate agent. And the film kind of opens with him proposing to his girlfriend Zoe, who's played by Rashida Jones, who's just lovely in this. She like kind of has to play the Mary Sue a lot of the way through this film,
right?
But I just love Rashida Jones. I think
I also love Rashida.
I think honestly, she's just really funny and really pleasant.
A lot of, if you combine them, Office and Parks and Rec alum.
Yeah, that's a great point. And then I guess also technically How I Met Your Mother alum because Jason Segel's in it.
Yeah, that too. I don't know off the top of my head if anyone else played like a bit role in those, but I found a ton of people who played bit roles in the other two shows.
Yeah, well, Andy Samberg and Tom, I think it's Thomas Lennon.
Thomas Lennon.
Both are from Brooklyn Nine-Nine as well.
Okay, yeah, and Andy Samberg also has a bit.
Or no, it's not. It's not Thomas Lennon. Thomas Lennon's in this,
Thomas
but
Lennon
it's not.
Plays Doug. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not him. It's the guy who plays like the Elmo from the gym. Is who I'm thinking of. He's in Brooklyn Nine-Nine with Andy Samberg, who is in this film. He plays Robbie, who is Peter Clavin's gay brother.
Okay.
Yeah. So going back to the plot here. She accepts the proposal, and then through the course of their conversations, they realize Peter Clavin is a girlfriend guy who does not have any real friends. Mm-hmm. And cue a rather hilarious montage of him getting set up on these like friend dates by his parents, by like a friend finder, and it's all the stereotypes of like your parents set you up for somebody, they give him the totally wrong idea. Mm-hmm. Thomas Lennon is Doug in that, and he thinks it's like a real date. So there's just this hilarious like kiss between him and Paul Rudd. And I mean, I'll tell you what, kudos to both of them for really selling that. That was really good. And then like the friend finder, where it's so stereotypical of like the guy's picture and you get to him and he's like 50 years older.
Oh yeah.
It's like, oh, it's an old picture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I thought they played off of those. Yeah, nice. A lot of tropes, a lot of interesting, like fun stereotypes. And so as you go through, the other like subplot of the film is Peter, as a real estate agent, is selling Lou Ferrigno's mansion.
Correct.
And at the open house of the mansion, you meet Sidney Fife, who's played by Jason Segel. He's the friend that we're talking about here.
Right.
So they meet. They have this really funny interaction, which we'll talk about more. But it's just a really funny play-by-play of a fart.
Right. Yeah.
Which sounds really cheesy and corny, but was actually done in a very funny way.
It was done pretty well.
Yeah. And throughout the rest of the movie, you get, a bit more of their relationship, the ups and downs. Peter kind of starting to let loose from his like really uptight, closed off persona.
Mm-hmm.
You get some of the most comedically awkward moments I've ever seen.
Yeah,
And
you're very
both of
right.
them lean into it so hard, and that's what makes it so funny. Because half of it's like I want to laugh my ass off, and half of it's when I want to claw my skin
Yeah.
off.
Yep.
Oh, it's gold.
Oh yeah.
The lines that Paul Rudd comes up with
Oh god,
when
there's
he's
so
saying goodbye to people, like
he is just
when
I just every time he talks, I'm just like, Paul, just never talk to another person and
it's
just like go be
beautiful.
like a monk and take a vow of silence.
It is beautiful stuff. These are lines that I remember like quoting for a while after I saw this movie the first time. So when people say goodbye, you're like, "See you later, Jobin." But then like he says stuff like that. So Jason Segel calls him Pistol because his name is Pete. Pistol Pete,
Yeah.
a good nickname. So he says like, "See you later, Pistol." He's like, "See you later, Jobin." And then Jason Segel's like, "What? What did you just? What? What?" He's like, "I don't know. I just called you Jobin." I don't. It's great. I mean, the breakdown of it is so funny. Latris on the Menjay is a line that I have used for a long time.
No.
Well, no, that's what it is. So when he's saying goodbye when he's calling
right.
Sidney Fife on the phone and he's trying to say goodbye to him, he's like, Latris on the Menjay.
Yeah, but
it's just
I'm
like,
just
what?
saying I don't think I've ever heard anyone use it, and this is like the third or
Well,
fourth
no,
time
I
I've
mean,
seen this movie.
I watched this
Never
when it came out, and then for some reason that line just sticks with me because it was so stupidly awkward. Just like, I'll see you later, or I will see you another time. Like, why?
I don't know.
So we'll go into it a little bit. Plot wise, my letter grade that I gave was a B.
Okay.
And I'll let you give your grade in a second.
Sure.
I'll give you my reasons. I thought it was very linear. I thought that it was, a bit predictable, but I think the idea of making a rom-com, but kind of turning it on an ear a little bit, but having all of the typical tropes of a rom-com done in like a backwards way just felt really clever to me.
Okay.
So like I think that for that reason it bumps it up a little bit.
Okay, I hear you. I think that and it makes sense. And honestly, you've been really brightening my opinion. Not that I didn't enjoy the movie, but you've definitely been brightening my more critical opinion of it.
Sure.
The more you talk about it, the more I'm seeing it in a positive light. It could just be, the hours that are behind me having seen it, or just it's aging so well.
Yeah, there you go.
But I had given this a C, and the reason for that is the same. I guess it falls into those same issues that rom-coms have, where it's like I enjoy watching it, but I almost enjoy watching it more to be cynical about how stupid every single character and interaction in it is. Because I like watching this movie because I like pausing it every 20 minutes and saying, "No one would ever fucking do that. What is going? That's not real. This is not real life."
I do get that. The suspension of disbelief is necessary.
You gotta have it.
Here.
And it's just like the relationships. I mean, like sometimes the character relationships have dynamics that make sense, and then other times I'm like, this is not how real people who are friends or in a relationship with each other act. Like that is. Have the writers of this film, like, are they all weirdos who don't know how to interact with other people? Or am I? Because only one of those two things can be true.
We'll get into that more with the writing. For me, like the plot was just so interesting to me. I don't know. I just thought that it was such an interesting concept because like you've seen a billion rom-coms.
Of course.
And you've seen a billion buddy films. And like just having one that was both. And also like I just think that maybe the plot is elevated a lot by Rudd and Segel together, which we'll get into the acting part of it as well in a second. Finishing out the plot of the film without, this is where we're getting into spoiler territory.
Yeah.
So just prepare yourself. Like we're getting into like end theme spoilers here. Sydney ends up borrowing $8,000 from Peter Clavin to put up these billboards to advertise Peter's real estate business.
So he can sell the Ferrigno estate.
Yes. Peter is mortified by this, thinks this is not the way to go. They have this huge falling out.
Which, by the way, all of this is because he works with the world's largest douchebag.
Oh, yeah, Tevin.
Tevin, who's played by Rob Hubel.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, every second he's on the screen, I want to punch him in the face so hard. And he wears his collar like splayed out on the outside,
and he's got the orange spray
like it's
tan.
1982. Like
I think Rob Hubel did a wonderful job because I wanted to punch 100%. Him so hard during this movie.
Yeah, he did a great job of portraying Tevin, and I hate Tevin.
Yeah, exactly. So moving on, because of Tevin kind of breathing down his neck about it, Ferrigno kind of freaking out about it, that it wasn't sold. Sidney Fife does the billboards, goes over very poorly for Peter Clavin. They break up as friends. Then, some time passes and the billboards were a huge success, of course, because billboard advertisements usually are a big success. There's a reason they're used. And, of course, they're too proud. Like, Peter Clavin's too proud to apologize to Jason Segel's character. And over the course of it, he puts together this ragtag team of groomsmen, which is mostly his family and the people that he just met.
Yeah.
Which I thought was so weird. Here's what I'll say. I understand some of the, like, having I guess you want to have your dad as a groomsman and your brother.
Yeah.
And I liked the moment at the end where, like, he gives Andy Samberg the ring to hold. And Andy Samberg, like, gives him a real hug of, like, because I'll tell you, like, throughout the whole movie, as he's, like, helping him out all this, I'm like, Andy Samberg's, like, kind of your best friend during this, right? Like, you keep going to him, and he keeps, like, doing whatever he can to help you. He's interested in your life. He's interested in helping you out. Like, this is who you should be forming a relationship with, your freaking brother.
Your brother, yeah.
So I'm glad that they had their little emotional moment. Andy Samberg is a very underrated funny to me.
Okay.
Every time I see him, I think, like, he has his, like, over the top, like, moments, obviously, with, like, I'm on a boat and, like, all his, like, songs that he does.
Yeah.
And, like, a lot of his SNL stuff. But, like, I think he's, like, a subtle funny in this movie.
Sure.
Almost playing, ironically, he's playing the gay guy, but he's almost playing, like, the straight man comedian in this film.
Yeah.
Which is great.
I agree. And honestly, one of the highlights of the film is his relationship with J.K. Simmons, who plays his dad.
Yes. J.K. Simmons is great in this.
I think he puts on my favorite performance out of anyone, and he only has just a few scenes.
It's just so, like, so straightforward. So, like, Robbie's my friend and Hank Mardukas.
Yeah.
Those are my two friends. It's great. It's really good.
He's great.
But so the end of the film, it's like, it's J.K. Simmons, his father, his brother, Doug, the gay guy who was on a weird date with him, the Elmo from the gym,
right?
Who was the other guy.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, what do you mean? And then the old guy.
Yeah,
they're his groomsmen, and I'm like, all right. I mean, you did have, like, I know they weren't, like, your best friends, but you did, like, once a week hang out with, like, Nick Kroll and Aziz Ansari and that other guy at the fencing.
Which, by the way, here's another thing.
Suck it, Gil.
They went really, really deep in the casting of this movie. Like, they didn't phone it in for a lot of these side characters, and I don't even mean that in a negative way. Like, they didn't, like, hire someone who's probably a very good actor but isn't known. Like, they hired people with names to play a lot of side characters.
This felt a lot like, I don't know who was involved in the casting or what, but this felt a lot like, I'm calling in my friends for this.
Yeah.
Like, whether it's Paul Rudd or Jason Segel, like, I'm calling in friends for this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's totally what it felt like to me for a lot of those side parts.
Yeah.
So then at the course of the end, Sidney Fife shows up at the wedding. They have this emotional moment. He becomes the best man. It's great. End of movie. Happiness. Rom-com success.
Yeah. Also, I must say, they have this entire makeup conversation literally right in the middle of their wedding ceremony. Like,
Yeah.
you couldn't think to maybe save that for, like, let them get married first and then, like, let's go talk during dinner?
You know what?
What was going on there? It was driving me nuts.
You know, I could only say that that's one of those things that only happens in the movies.
Absolutely.
Because I can tell you right now, with very little exception, the weddings I've been at, and I mean your wedding in particular, because I was the best man. If somebody showed up trying to like rekindle their friendship with you at that moment, I would have tackled them to the ground and said,
What would you do?
you will wait 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's
You
it.
will let them get married, and then we can have this talk.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like,
Crazy.
get out of here. I thought I was ready to tackle that guy walking his dog behind your wedding. I was like, no, 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 no. Dogs, no dogs allowed. Okay, so I gave a B for plot, you gave a C for plot.
Yeah.
Acting. This was a no-brainer for me.
Okay.
I'm giving them an A minus.
Okay.
Because I think Jason Segel and Paul Rudd were excellent. I thought they both played that like super awkward, like it never felt like over the top. Even when Jason Segel's lines were supposed to be over the top. When he was like yelling and having his like freak out moments, he turns right back around and is right back on it.
Sure.
And I think they like really elevated a like we both kind of mentioned, a kind of predictable plot.
Yeah.
To like another level.
Okay.
And the side characters for sure. I mean,
yeah, there's some good ones.
Like you mentioned with J.K. Simmons, Jon Favreau's in this movie as a side character.
And he's so hilarious.
Oh yeah, but it's supposed to be.
I know they all. Well, I'll get into my reasoning for that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about some of the side characters because I have things to say mostly on the writing. But Ron Hubel's in this, like just really good. Like I said, Andy Samberg was an underrated funny in this. Rashida Jones was kind of like the love interest. Like she's just there for a lot of it. She does well. I really enjoy her performance. But like I feel like they didn't really give her a lot. They didn't give her a long leash here.
No, not really.
But for the most part, I just think like my good score of an A minus comes down to Rudd and Segel just lighting it up. And their chemistry. Like
the two of them together for sure.
Their chemistry together was so good.
Yeah. I agree with that. So, and I think you've talked me up to a B here.
Sure.
Just because I felt like so much of this felt like you mentioned, it was kind of let's just call up all of our friends and do this. So much of this felt like, how much of this is acting and how much of this is like a bunch of friends messing around together? You know what I mean? Like it felt like it wasn't requiring much range for them. And I don't even mean that like in a negative way. Like it felt to me like it felt like this is them hanging out with their friends, and it's sort of.
But isn't that the mark of good acting?
Sure.
Like the natural feel of it all. And like I know
between Rudd and Segel, I mean. Yeah.
Between Rudd and Segel, yeah.
I felt like it was like a little off sometimes.
Okay.
With between Paul Rudd and Rashida Jones. There were like a few moments when I was just like, I don't know if it's like the writing putting them in a bad position. And that's where I'm going to get next. Like, because I don't want to penalize the acting too much for that or anything. But there were definitely moments where I had to wonder in like a Hayden Christensen-esque way, like, is he doing anything wrong, or like does he just really not have anything to work with for this scene? So, and like there were just a few times when it took me out of it a little bit because I was just like, this just doesn't feel like a real conversation that people could have. So how would they be able to do this convincingly?
It was so interesting to me because I agree with what you're saying, and I attributed it almost exclusively to
the writing. Okay, that's
there was a couple moments when it was very clear that Paul Rudd was improvising.
Yeah.
And when he was improving and Rashida Jones was playing off of him, their chemistry like tripled. Like the slap the bass lines.
Yeah.
was very clearly Paul Rudd he definitely overplayed that and was goofing off with it. And her like responses to shutting that down, like for the sake of our relationship, please, for the love of God, like that felt so much more real to me.
I agree with you.
So like it was almost that scene in particular that was like
that was way better.
Oh, some of their chunkiness is definitely writing.
Yeah. Okay. And I think that's probably fair.
Yeah.
So
I guess it's time to get into the writing. Yeah, let's talk about the writing. For me, this is where the score like dampens just a bit. I think John Hamburg's a funny guy. I think Meet the Parents, Meet the Fockers. Along Came Polly's all right. I mean,
Meet the Parents is a classic though.
It is, and I think he's got Zoolander. I mean, he's a funny writer. I think this script falls prey to, ironically, the tropes of the rom-com. It's just a little too predictable. I think you do not get a lot of dimension from the number of side characters. So you have a lot of side characters and you give them a lot of lines, but you don't really build.
They're pretty one note.
Yeah, and that is, frustrating a little bit for me because you're almost getting punished for the caliber of actor in your side parts. Like you have Jon Favreau, who is hilarious in this role because he's just so fed up. It's so typical asshole. He's such an asshole. Worst. Like him and Jamie Presley are a couple in this, and even like Jamie Presley and I can't think of the other girl's name off the top of my head, but her other friend
Haley is the name of the character.
Haley. So Sarah Burns, are both like Rashida Jones's two friends, and they're both like. One is like the typical like in an unhappy marriage, but doing the marriage things like getting pregnant and and then the other friend's like the perennially single friend who's like, woe is me.
Right.
It just feels like a lot of it was written in a way where it's like these characters don't matter. It's all about the main plot, which I understand the writing of it, and I understand you don't want to make a 4-hour movie. But then you cast like Jamie Presley and Jon Favreau.
Yeah, right.
And it's like. And I just saw a film very similar to this in terms of relationship dynamic, where the plots are a lot more flushed out. Like, I know this isn't a Judd Apatow film, but with the cast involved, you compare it to like Knocked Up. A lot of the side characters in Knocked Up are way more flushed out than this. And I think that's where it kind of falls a little flat to me.
Sure.
Is you don't get to build out a lot of the side characters. They just get to be more like butts of jokes.
Yeah.
So I gave this a C+.
Okay. I also gave it a C, just a C. And here's the thing, and a lot of it hinged on one aspect of the writing here. And I felt like this was something that equal parts I was like, okay, yeah, I can relate to that. And oh my God, like stop sniffing yourself here. And that was the idea of so the friendship dynamics and what it's like to, as an adult, try to form new friendships. And so many people, like all of the guys in this movie, other than Jason Segel's character, are just like dumb, one-dimensional assholes. It felt like a little I'm just such a cool, hip guy who's looking to make friends, and I have all these skills and interests, and I'm like really, I'm pretty special, but all of the other guys that I want to make friends with are just like, duh, I am dumb and drink beers. It's like,
so you were thinking of it as as John Hamburg is Sidney Fife. Is that what you're kind of like? He's writing it through that lens a little bit.
Either Paul Rudd or Sidney Fife. He's like this quirky, original, smart person who just can't find anyone who's intellectually stimulating enough to be their friend.
No,
and
I get
part of me is like, okay, I can kind of relate to struggling to make friendships as an adult, or maybe feeling like certain people in your life, you don't have a good enough dynamic to get past that surface level stuff with. But also it's like, why do you think you're so much better than everybody else? Because you're come on.
No, I get where you're coming from. I did think, that's part of the one-dimensional thing. So, like, you find out, like, midway through the movie that the reason Jason Segel, Sidney Fife is so open to making friends with Paul Rudd is because, like, all of his friends are, like,
Right.
adults with jobs and
Yeah.
wives and all that stuff. Like, one's a teacher, one's, like, going to see Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium 3 or 4 times.
So the one who's a teacher, Nelson Franklin is the actor's name, also was in The Office. He was the IT guy, Nick, in like 3 episodes.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
But no one ever learns his name, and he gets like pissed off and goes on a tirade about how no one knows who he is.
Yeah, they're all. It's so interesting the cast here. So you have Jay Trans. I can't do it. Jay Chandrasekhar, who I loved in. I loved him in like Super Troopers and Beer Fest.
Oh, is he
He's
in
the guy
Broken
from the
Lizard?
poker? Yeah. That guy. And then David Krumholtz, who everyone should know as Bernard from the Santa Claus movies.
Mm-hmm.
I can't see him in anything and not think of him as Bernard.
You're right.
So absolutely love him in that.
Oh, and you know who else is in this? She gets like 2 lines. Catherine Reitman is in this.
Oh, yeah.
Because her dad was also an executive producer. She's one of those Nepo babies who's actually really talented. So, and in case anyone's not sure who Catherine Reitman is, she is Maureen Ponderosa, and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and also like the main protagonist and writer of the show Working Moms.
Yeah, definitely a good one. A good one there for sure. The cast in this is so crazy to look at. I mean, everybody is so clutch on this. And then, of course, we should talk about the fact that Rush,
of course,
is talked about and makes appearances.
And they make an appearance, as does OK Go.
OK Go plays the wedding band, which is so interesting. Which is fine. I love OK Go, and this 09 was right around their big moment. I think that was right around when the treadmill one came out.
Yeah, it was probably a couple years after, about like 2000. Yeah, mid 2000s.
Still living that treadmill dream.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so they bond. So Sydney and Peter bond over Rush. They have this funny montage of them progressively crazier, getting together and jamming out to Tom Sawyer.
Mm-hmm.
And it was good. And then I know that the slap the bass joke. I mean, I can only imagine. I mean, that is still people still do that.
That's true.
Like that may be the most like enduring joke from this film is like slap at the bass. Like I can't imagine.
Yeah, I never want to hear it.
You know what? You don't even play the bass, really. I mean, dear Lord. But yeah, so I mean, we'll go on to our moments here. Were there moments that really stuck out to you?
My favorite was in the very beginning, actually. So right after the proposal, when Rashida Jones is calling her friends, and she's talking to Haley, and and how Haley's on the phone, like, oh my God, it's amazing how you're able to find such a great guy. Every other guy is shit. I hate all of them. I like dating is impossible. And then it like zooms out onto her half of the screen, and you realize that she is like
she's
literally on a date at the time, and the guy's like, I thought it was going really well, and she's like, really? You did? Like, happens in the first 5 minutes. Best part of the movie.
It was truly hilarious. That whole scene was really funny because it's definitely like over the top, but it's true. I mean, I know that, girls kind of talk about everything. So when she's like, oh my God, he's so nice and sweet to you, and he goes down on you 6 nights a week. You hang on to that tongue, girl. Like stuff like that. And like and she's like, he doesn't know. She doesn't know she's on speaker. And like Paul Rudd's just like, you told him about the hot tub in Mexico. Okay. Just like really funny stuff. That whole scene was really good. So for me, the moments that really stuck out to me, and I've talked about them a few times at this point, are just those moments when Rudd and Segel like sit in the awkward. Like they just sit in that moment where it's like in improv, a lot of what you do is like yes and you keep going. Jason Segel does not yes end with Paul Rudd when he like is saying goodbye to him. He's like, see you later, Jobin. And Jason Segel's just like, what did you just say that? Or when he's like, I'll see you later, I'll see you another time. And he's just like, that was very confusing. I don't know if you're coming or not. Like those moments are just, they just are so funny to me because I just have such secondhand awkwardness about them, which you're obviously supposed to. I mean, that's what it's all about.
Oh, I'll tell you my favorite moment between those two in particular. And it wasn't even dialogue. But it was after they had been in trying on tuxedos for the wedding.
Yes.
And Doug runs into them there after, his advances were rebuffed by Paul Rudd in an earlier scene.
Yeah.
And so the character Doug, Thomas Lennon, is under the impression that Paul Rudd is gay and just was totally rejecting him at the end of a date that they thought went really well. Yep. And he's in there with Sydney, and he can't believe it. He calls him an asshole. He's like, and he just walks away, like very upset. Then later, they're walking out on the street after that, and they had a moment, and they go to hug each other. And Thomas Lennon is walking by right then, and he's like, "Oh, you asshole!" And just as Paul Rudd turns to look to see and like try to explain to him, Jason Segel gently brings his hand up and guides his head back into his shoulder. And it all happens in like 2 seconds, and then the scene immediately cuts, and it is the best moment.
I totally missed that. I'm gonna have to go check that out again. That's really funny. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's really good. Okay, so my last moment here, and I'll tell you what, the moments for me on this, like the quotable moments, which we'll get into quotes, but like the moments here, I gave them a B. I thought they were like pretty memorable stuff. And like, I don't know what you feel about your moments, but I felt pretty good about them.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I think a B is the appropriate grade.
Yeah. The last moment I want to give credit to, because it would have been so easy for it to be awful, was the like really in-depth play-by-play breakdown of the fart that was Sidney Fife's introduction into the film.
Right.
Fart jokes are funny, but also like typically not funny. Like they're funny, like ha ha fart joke. I get.
I don't think that joke is funny because it's a joke about like relationship dynamics and reading body language.
Exactly, and I think it was done so well. So just a little bit of a breakdown of it. He describes the exact movements of this guy. He says that he's holding in a fart. And like, of course, Paul Rudd's like, oh, wow, he does seem to be clenching, like very analytical of it.
Yeah.
Like they're literally play-by-play of like a golf hole or something. It's so funny.
Oh, they play golf later. And that's another character, Matt Walsh, not the total asshole on the internet, but the actor who's actually nice. And then a bunch of things is an angry golfer for 3 seconds in this movie. And then it's not in it anymore.
A very deep cast.
Yeah.
But like the play-by-play breakdown is funny. And then I'll tell you, I mean, fart joke or not, it like when the guy who farts turns around to Paul Rudd and he says, I don't know, buddy. I don't think I'm going to buy this one. It's a little small. And Jason Segel just goes, yeah, and it smells like farts. Oh man, that comeback was just it was really funny. That was a funny play-by-play scene for me.
It was. That was good.
So quote-wise, I know we've quoted a bunch throughout this. Were there any like one or two quotes that really stuck out to you at all?
Honestly, nothing that we haven't really covered. I mean, did we talk about Totes My Goats on camera yet?
We have not yet. So Totes My Goats.
Okay, because that's the next thing.
Yeah, from what I could tell, like Totes My Goats originated in this film.
Right.
Which is wild because I've heard Totes My Goats everywhere for a long time. And if this is truly the origin of Totes My Goats, which from everything I'm seeing it was, congratulations, because that was a cultural
impact
phrase that has entered the zeitgeist.
Oh, for sure.
So congratulations to Totes My Goats.
Yeah, thank you for playing.
If that was an improv on Paul Rudd, amazing.
And
if that was written, even more amazing. Because why would you write that? Like who would have?
Wrong.
Crazy. Good job.
You're not wrong.
For me, the one that stuck out to me that wasn't like a funny moment, but was just like very retrospective for some reason in a hilarious way, was when Paul Rudd is assembling his groomsmen, and he gets to Mel, and he's like, "You know what, Mel? Are you free on June 30th?"
Oh yeah.
And he just pauses for a minute. And he's like, "I'm 89 years old. What the fuck kind of plans would I have?" Like, just chef's kiss. Beautiful moment there. That was so funny. Because it was so well done. It was very much like, there was a moment when it was like a beautiful little, like, I'm assembling my team and you're on it. He's like, what the fuck else would I be doing?
Yeah.
Good job on that one. That was one that kind of doesn't fit the whole. There wasn't a huge funny scene around it.
Yeah,
but that was a good
actually
quote
kind of a nice scene.
Yeah, that just happened.
Exactly. Okay. Oh, there's one other person that was in this film that we didn't mention. Still, somehow, there's someone that we didn't mention. Larry Wilmore plays the minister who marries them, and he was. He had his own show on Comedy Central after he was a correspondent on The Daily Show for a time.
Yeah.
And he was also Mr. Brown in the first season of The Office in the episode where he's the sensitivity training guy who comes in after, Michael has one too many incidents of behaving in maybe a racially insensitive way.
Yes. Oh, man. Which, honestly, that show. We could talk about The Office for a long time. That show is hilarious.
Oh my god, so good.
Okay, so I don't have any more quotes. But in terms of casting, there's one performer, there's one casting thing that we didn't talk about yet.
Sure.
Which may be the strongest part of the whole film, and that is that they truly did find a dog that looks just like Anwar Sadat. What are the odds?
So
like, because you say it, like, he says, like, oh, his name's Anwar Sadat. And then he's like, why is he named Anwar Sadat? Like, do you really like what is it, Egyptian politics or whatever? And then he's like, no, he looks just like Anwar Sadat. And they zoom in on the dog. And, like, at first, I feel like the general public may not immediately know who Anwar Sadat is or what it looks like. But later on in the film, Paul Rudd is sitting in, like, the man cave of Jason Segel, and it goes from Anwar Sadat to the dog.
Yeah.
And you're like, holy shit, he does look like Anwar Sadat.
Yeah.
Like, that's more than a passing resemblance to Anwar Sadat. I can't believe it. Like, I question, like, what came first, the dog or the Anwar Sadat?
Well, either way, the answer is Anwar Sadat.
Well, that's true. But, like, did they decide that they were going to use the name Anwar Sadat and then find a dog that looked like him? Or did they, find a dog and went, what's funny about this dog?
I think that's
well, he looks like Anwar Sadat.
Although I will say on his IMDb page, the dog is listed as Anwar Sadat playing
his
Anwar
name.
Sadat.
Wait.
That's what it on the dog's IMDb. I will,
if they really did name that dog Anwar Sadat, that's the funniest thing.
I mean, it's definitely possible.
That's truly a beautiful time.
Can I ask you a question real quick about this?
You can ask me any question you want.
In the Lou Ferrigno scenes.
Yeah.
Does he sound like he's got just the tiniest bit of Andre the Giant going on in his voice?
Well,
he's got just a little bit of that Andre the Giant.
Lou Ferrigno does definitely have a little bit of Andre the Giant in him, which is interesting. So Lou Ferrigno is deaf. So Lou Ferrigno is like a very high functioning deaf man. So like a lot of that, I'm sure, is that. I mean, I don't know what he has had done that he could hear, because he definitely can hear now. Like, he's not completely deaf, so I don't know if it's just partial deafness. He has hearing loss and a speech impediment brought on by it.
Okay.
But
I wonder if that's what it is then.
Yeah, he is. I think he is. I think he at one point had lost up to 80% of his hearing, and that is.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that is. I don't know too much about Lou Ferrigno other than that, and that he played the Hulk in the TV show of the Hulk.
I didn't even know that much about him other than that he played the Hulk.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's my good old. And he was, of course, obviously he was a champion bodybuilder for years. That's the other thing about Lou Ferrigno is that's how he played the Hulk.
that is pretty apparent.
Yeah. And then you look at Ferrigno and you're just like, how far we've come in terms of the Hulk. Like, no offense to Ferrigno, but like Lou Ferrigno was just a man they painted green who had a lot of muscles.
Yeah.
Like that is how they were like,
You're not
here's
wrong.
the Hulk. We're just gonna paint this human man green. And just be like, that's
should
the Hulk.
do. That will be sufficient.
And now we, thankfully because of CGI and everything, we have a truly gigantic Hulk, and we managed to make Mark Ruffalo a Hulk.
That's true, and he does not normally look like that.
Very rarely, in fact, I would say.
Yeah, he never wears purple.
But not never.
Yeah, true.
All right, moving on here. We're starting to get closer to the end here. The Rotten Tomatoes scores. And this is where we get to decide if we agree or disagree, who we agree with.
Okay.
And these scores are different. So, critically, this scored an 83%.
Okay.
Which is, a solid B.
That's, yeah.
And audience-wise, here's my question for you, Nick.
Okay.
Would you think the audience is higher or lower on this film?
So I would think that the audience was higher, but based on the way that you have introduced this, I'm going to say it's lower.
And you're correct. It's lower. It is 74%. That's solid C. So I guess what my question for you is, who was more correct? What would you mark this as your final score?
I think the answer lies somewhere in between.
Okay.
Coming into this, I would definitely have sided more with the audience. Coming out of it, I'll side with the critics.
Okay, so yeah, so you're thinking in that B range.
I would have been around a 73 previously, but I'm okay with the 83. You've talked me up 10%.
I will take it. And I'll tell you what, I obviously agree with the critics. I'm a little higher than the critics. For me, comedy comes down to a certain amount of things. Rewatchability.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
So, like, I need to be able to rewatch a movie and still find it funny. I really do think this is a movie I could watch again and find it funny and awkward and cringy. Like, those emotions that I feel, I'll be able to re-feel. So it scores extra points for me.
Okay.
I think that, those little moments, you already saw a couple of them and brought them up, like that hug moment, like those things like that. Those are little things that I would appreciate on a rewatch.
Sure, yeah.
And then just how into it the people involved seem. I think that's the main reason that, like, the Apatow films and, like, the earlier Hamburg works, like you said, like Meet the Parents and Zoolander, and then, like, how, like, the reason they're so successful is the people are clearly having a blast.
Sure.
And this one definitely fills that bill for me. I think everybody involved looked like they're having a lot of fun. Even the people who are playing, like, the sticks in the mud. Like Kevin, like, you're not telling me Rob Huebel's not having a blast.
Oh, sure, Kevin. Yeah, I get that.
And I truly think Jon Favreau, like, was having a good time playing an absolute prick.
Yeah, they
I mean, his lines where he's just like, come on, you gotta have him for the poker night. Fine, but we're having sex with the lights on tonight, just like we did in Cambodia, or just like we did in, like, the Caribbean or something. Like, just like stuff like that, where it's like they're just playing this, like, love is dead married couple, and he's like, fine, but you're wearing the cheerleading outfit for a week. Yeah. Like, that stuff is funny.
Yeah.
So I would have given it a B+ for me personally.
Okay.
And I liked it. I think that, even removing the Paul Ruddiverse of it all, I think this is a movie that really stood up more than I thought it would, to be honest. I think when we picked this one, I was kind of expecting it to fall a little more flat than it did to me.
Yeah. I get that. So. And to me, I look back on it, like, pretty positively. And then I was like, yeah, maybe there were more problems with this than I remembered.
Oh, yeah, I get that. I mean, I think that it was very interesting because I felt like, for Clueless, when we did Clueless, there was a lot of nostalgia.
Yeah.
And I think that
this is a different type of nostalgia.
Yeah, this is a totally different type of nostalgia, but still some nostalgia, still a little bit of nostalgia to it. One thing that I did like is like I feel like comedies, especially as they age, you find more and more like truly problematic moments in them.
Yeah, for sure.
And like I definitely don't think there were any in this one.
I don't think so either.
So also shout out to whoever dressed Jason Segel in the scene when Peter is fencing Gil and he's there in that like weird suit beret mix. And then he beats Gil and he has this freak out and he's just like, suck it, Gil. I loved it. That was also a fun
moment. Gil also was an asshole.
Oh, yeah. Gil, yeah, a lot of assholes.
Everyone. That's what I was talking about before. Like, all the male characters. One-dimensional assholes.
Oh, and even that. Oh, but you know what? Talking about awkwardness. How do we not mention the scene when he finds out that Aziz Ansari is getting married?
Oh yeah.
And he's just like, I didn't even know you were getting engaged. And he's just like, yeah. I would have told you. I didn't think. He's like, no, it's fine. And then there's just like maybe 10 seconds of just silence.
Yeah.
And it just like simmers. And then Gil's like, so yeah, gotta hit the road. Like, oh my God. I was just like, how do you do that? Like, my God. I don't know if I could let any silence last that long, yet alone that awkward of a silence.
Yeah.
I would have had to leave the room.
Yeah.
I gotta go.
It definitely plays on that note very well.
Yes. It may be semi one note, but it plays that note spectacularly.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, listen, I think we've said all we can say.
I agree.
I think we've said all there is to say.
We've talked it today.
Yeah, I love you, man. That is our review.
Take it or leave it.
And I'll tell you what, it's a recommend for me.
Fair enough.
It's a recommend. I feel like we're going to hit films that we don't recommend at some point soon.
Mm-hmm.
So far, we're 2 for 2. Recommend them both.
Fair enough.
And do you have any parting wisdom?
Yes, and I will give it on the opening of the next episode.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful!
My favorite type of parting wisdom.
I want to let you know that I've decided that I will be asking you for your parting wisdom at the end of these.
Okay,
that's just going to be my thing. I feel like that's going to be a fun little close. Okay. So this parting wisdom for Nick is a stay tuned until next episode.
Yes.
When that will be.
And here's another thing. Don't smoke in bed.
That's a great one. Don't smoke in bed. Don't I have nothing to add to that. Just don't smoke in bed's a good one. As for when we're going to be back, we haven't really discussed this.
That's true.
So now's kind of the best time.
Yeah, really.
I would say maybe look for Popcorn Perspectives monthly.
I think that's fair.
At least for the time being.
Sure.
If we decide to increase that at some point, maybe we will. Right. If you want us to increase it, you're welcome to let us know that. For right now, probably monthly. We're going to be doing our other podcast, Totem Talks. That's a weekly podcast. So, I think weekly we'll do the music one, mm-hmm. and then monthly we'll do the movie one.
I think that's good.
That's it. All we need now is a true art one.
Yeah,
we have music and we have movies. Where do we go? Do we do books?
I mean, I genuinely would like that.
I know you would genuinely like books. The question is,
I don't think either one of the books that I have on my desk right now would be particularly good for this, unless you would like to either do the collected works of Marx or the new Jim Crow. Each show would be kind of a downer.
You know what? I feel like we probably should go fiction if we're trying to talk about books. If we're trying to talk about politics, we may be able to go nonfiction, but I feel like we can discuss a book podcast.
Yeah, I'm in.
We'll just do every media available. We'll do books. We'll eventually do like art.
Yes.
We'll just keep going down the line. I can
bullshit about art all day long.
Hey, that's all it is, right?
Yeah.
All right. With that as our final sayings, I will tell you all, have a great day. Oh man.
All right.
Let me do this so I can see when I'm editing it. What's a good thing? Oh, here. This will be good. Now when I'm editing the video, I'll see that in the frames and be like, that's a good spot to look at the end for.
Okay.
That's good. That was good. I feel like we settled into it.
I think so.
We should talk about what's next.
The film or the artists or both, probably.
The film and the artist. We should pick both.
I agree. Okay.
So by the time we record Totem Talks again, so next week, I will have everything moved over to the new Google Drive.
Okay, we should also consider trying to see Ron one night next week.
Yes, or the week after.
Or both, yeah. But yes.
Or both if possible. We can work out a time. Why don't we make sure on Sunday when everyone's together?
Yeah.
We pick a time either next week or the week after, or both, and do that, because then there's no way we're visiting him for vocals after that until next year.
Yeah.
Because I think we're like 2 gigs a weekend for the rest of the year.
Okay. I don't know what any of them are. Oh shit! I didn't know he had 2 weekends.
Almost positive. I will. I have a cell phone somewhere. I will tell you.
Check out that. Hold on, I have our website up now. Okay, so we have one on the. So we are good.
Yeah, we have Crafties on the 16th.
Then it's 2 weeks. Okay.
Yeah. So then, and the 2 that we have, I mean, the ones in Stellar. Oh, you've disappeared.
Sorry, I'm writing this down on my desk count.
You're fine. Yeah, we have Sellersville, then Bristol, and then we have Orehouse and Moss to wrap up the year.
All right, cool. That's a good slate.
Yeah. Hopefully, we actually get to do the Moss one.
Yeah. Who knows? Mason will probably have COVID.
Listen, as sad as that would be, we could
still do it. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, the issue there was you didn't feel comfortable doing it without me because of the time of year, which is understandable.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, without you, we couldn't do it either.
Sure.
Because I certainly can't play the guitar.
No, you could not.
Well, to be fair, I can play the guitar as long as everyone's okay with hearing a G chord, a C chord, and a D chord for 3 hours.
I mean, that's basically what they get anyway.
Is it? I feel like you give slightly more to the group than you are admitting there. Okay, so going back into the drive.
Okay, and then
everything will be on the new drive.
Okay.
Which I'll give you the login for off camera.
That's fine. That makes sense. You want Sonny and Cher logins in Messina?
I'll take Sonny and Cher.
You got it. Podcast makes me feel good.
I
love that song.
Podcast.
Podcast.
Yeah, so I'll do that. And then movie.
Okay, so hold on. I got to see if there's a way to do this, because we could do something drastically different, but still connect it to what we just did.
Okay.
I just want to see if it's okay. It's called The End of the Tour. Let's see.
I'm fascinated.
Okay, it looks like it's not available for free on anything right now. Damn. All right, I really want to watch it. It's a biopic of David Foster Wallace, where Jason Segel plays David Foster Wallace.
Oh.
And I am super curious about it because I am a huge David Foster Wallace fan.
That is interesting.
And there's like some controversy around it. Like, the original idea maybe sort of had the blessing of his estate, and then like it didn't, and there's like some controversy over whether or not it should have been made according to whatever his estate had requested, but it was based on a book of interviews with David Foster Wallace that a journalist had done. So, like, technically, they weren't, using any of his own work to, like, the film is essentially like a play by play of the interviews.
Interesting.
And it, like, just brings all of that to life with him and his life living through, I guess, the moments that they discuss.
That is a good one. We'll have to figure out.
Yeah, like I'm really interested in watching the movie regardless, but it has 92 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah. The question is, how wild do you want to get? Because I have a movie that we could watch.
Okay.
That would be crazy. It's not really related to this. Okay. It's not really related to where we've been.
Sure. I'm okay with jumping ship. We can do whatever we want.
So there's a movie called The Man from Earth.
Okay.
Which is like philosophical / science fiction-y.
Oh, that's the one that you recommended to me like a couple months ago.
It makes you like
the one that's on YouTube, the guy who has been alive for thousands and thousands of years. Yeah, I watched that.
It's weird as shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
We could do that.
That would be interesting.
It'd be interesting because it's like there's not a ton of known people, and it's like very low budget, so it'd be like an interesting jump from where we've been.
I would do that for sure, but I want more time to let that movie marinate before rewatching it, like a few months.
Okay,
after I watched it the first time,
we can hold off on that one, but that one.
But I would definitely do that in the future.
Yeah, we should talk about your opinion on it. I didn't know you'd watched it yet.
Oh yeah, I watched it after you told me about it. Pretty much right after you told me about it. I forget if it was in the summer or.
Yeah,
it probably was. Yeah, but yeah, I really enjoyed it.
It's there is one moment that I think jumps the shark, and the rest of it is amazing. And yeah, other than that, there's one. Let me see.
Are we going to record the next episode within December? Should we do a Christmas movie?
Oh, we should.
Because that's the only thing that we've been watching since Thanksgiving.
We absolutely should. The question is, which Christmas movie then?
Well, we watched Home Alone last night.
Home Alone's a good choice.
It's a classic.
So I mean, you got the staples. Home Alone.
We could use the David Krumholtz.
We could use the Santa Claus.
Yeah, it would.
I'd be down. I know I'm gonna end up watching that sometime this season.
Exactly.
Other options. I mean, we could do like Christmas Vacation. It's a classic.
We watched that on Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Yeah.
We could do a terrible one if you want. We could do Jingle All the Way with Schwarzenegger.
I love that movie.
No, me too. Oh, me too. But it's terrible.
It. Yeah. Oh my god.
I love it, but it's
so
terrible.
Bad. But it's so good.
All right. So here's the thing.
I'm game for that one. I love that.
We're gonna watch both of them either way.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So we don't have to choose right now. It's between those two then. Yeah. Between Santa Claus or Jingle All the Way.
And they're both going to be watched in the next few weeks. So
yeah. I'll tell you what, I got the bug to watch that one again because I was like watching YouTube videos as I was like gearing down to fall asleep. And like the Christmas compilation of pitch meetings came up.
Oh yeah.
And that's one of them. And I'm like, that's such a funny movie.
Oh my god. It's so funny.
Like
here's one that I put in that same category of nostalgia of like Jingle All the Way and the Santa Claus, but also like George of the Jungle and movies of that era with some of it. Have you seen Jungle to Jungle?
Of course I have.
Allen?
I fucking love Jungle to Jungle, dude.
Oh my god.
Absolutely. Oh man, the true nostalgia of Jungle to Jungle.
Also, like really terrible, but so great.
Oh yeah,
it has a Rotten Tomato score of 19.
That feels high, honestly.
But I love it.
Oh, me too. Oh man, I'm gonna have to go find Jungle to Jungle now.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I don't know how recently you've watched it. something that genuinely holds up and like has good subtle adult humor throughout is George of the Jungle. George of the
Oh
Jungle
yeah.
is just as good in my 30s as it was in my
I
ones.
haven't seen it in a long time,
Oh my god,
so I'll have
you'll
to. I
cherish it.
mean, that was the movie that I fell in love with Leslie Mann in. She's hilarious in that.
Oh yeah,
And I mean, Brendan Fraser's so
and
funny
Thomas
to
Hayden
talk about
Church
that
is
movie.
great.
Thomas Hayden Church. Like Brendan Fraser did like an interview about that movie. And he's like, I can't stress to you enough how absolutely unnatural it was for my body to look like that.
Oh really?
Like he was like, my body absolutely did not want to stay in that shape. He was like, if I didn't like work out all day every day during filming, like the next day it was just not like did not look like that anymore.
Really?
He's like I might have looked like that for a week when we wrapped filming. And then he's like, and then I just looked like a normal person again. He's like, muscles just don't stick to me like that.
That's crazy.
I was like, dude, that's wild because you looked amazing in that movie. Oh man. Apparently it's a very tough to look like a literal Adonis.
Yeah, that seems fair. But if you haven't seen it in a long time, I would love to do that in like a couple of months.
Sure, 100%. I will wait to watch it until then because
for sure.
I have the urge. But I will watch Jungle the Jungle this month for sure.
That's fine.
Now that you brought it up, Tim Allen fathering some weird child,
Mimi Siku.
Oh my god.
Oh god.
All right.
What are the odds?
Oh man, okay. I'm gonna roll.
Yes.
I like being able to start at 4:30 too. That was good.
Agreed.
Because it's only 6 o'clock, Nick.
Yeah.
The night is young for me and old for you, but
very old.
But young for me. The only thing I don't love is like I feel like 4:30 feels a little early to get to
I
snack.
totally disagree.
Oh, I guess if we record on Friday.
Yeah. I don't know. It's good for me either way because either way I like.
You've been done work for hours at that point.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say I'm asleep before the effects run out, regardless. So
I got a whole
if
night.
If I wait, I'm like, oh well, I got to enjoy it for an hour, and then I fell asleep.
I understand. Oh man. Okay, so I will plan on seeing you at 10 on Sunday.
Very good.
Where that is up for debate. We'll talk about it tomorrow. We'll confirm everything tomorrow in the Slack and make sure. If you make sure you like have things to say, if you have things to say, right?
Okay.
I don't know. Like I feel like because I didn't do that whole questionnaire shit because like nobody gets 5 years old anymore.
Yeah.
Like I had to do that with other people because they wouldn't have spoken otherwise.
Yeah.
But just all that fun stuff.
Okay.
And then if it's at your house, I'm down to watch the 1 o'clocks.
Sure.
I told my dad I'd watch the
that's fine.
Birds with him. But I'm down to watch the 1 o'clocks and hopefully watch my team make up for what was just a really, really terrible Thursday night football game for me.
Yeah, but you'll be fine because Dak was great.
Yeah, listen, it was nice that Dak accounted for, a good amount of those touchdowns and like all that. Yeah, I get it. I understand. DK Metcalf, 3 touchdowns. Like, Julie put up 5 touchdowns in Thursday.
I know,
night.
And JSN really should have had that one.
JSN or Noah Fant, dude.
Yeah,
there was 2 touchdowns that should have not like. I was heated when I saw it go. When I saw that one go to DK
Metcalf, yeah.
Because I saw the 75-yarder and I was like, well, fine, I understand, but like that immediately jumps up to almost 30 points. Great.
Yeah.
But then the rest of the game is just like DK. I'm like, okay. And then it's like touchdown and it's Brandon Cooks. I'm like, God damn it. And then the late touchdown to Ferguson. I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
I know. She really had them all.
It was crazy, dude. It was crazy. I mean, the fact that I was projected to win by like well over 100 points. And now it's like a toss-up. I'm like, I mean, listen, whatever happens, that is a miraculously good showing for a Thursday night football.
Yes, indeed.
So
you never
good
get
for
good
her.
football on Thursday.
No. Al Michaels was so happy.
I'm sure.
All right.
Okay.
Adios, brother.
Adios.
And goodbye to all of you who hung out.
Yeah.